#1 Marmaduke fan here. So, in my response to Zach on what committing to the bit means, I mentioned that some really bad comics inspired that, and this is the really bad comic, and I really didn't want to talk about it, but I reread it, and every time I reread it, I get angrier. And I see $4 clear as day floating in front of my eyes, between my eyes and the page, every time I turn the page of this comic. So I know it's been a recurring refrain for me that I don't want this to be a channel to roast comic books. I want this to be a chance for me to provide constructive critiques and to think about art constructively, but this defeated me a bit. So I feel like I gotta talk about it just to get it off my chest. So I don't know. I guess I read Darth Vader and I was so excited, and I read the Star Wars Annual, and I was excited about the Star Wars Annual, and I was stupid. I thought, gee, well, Darth Vader's good and the Star Wars Annual is good. Star Wars must be good, right? And I bought some, and I should have remembered my boy Zach roasting Doc Afra. I did remember that he roasted Doc Afra, but I forgot that Doc Afra was actually in this main Star Wars book and not just in her own book. So I fell hard into the cringe volcano. So let's try to get constructive. Let's try to keep to the focus of what I want to do. All right. So first thing is this rain and these motion lines. These are too loose and too all over the place. They're not really adding anything beautiful. And there is a constructive thing that could be. There's low battery. Hey, I'm gonna keep it. They're lazy. I'm gonna be lazy. So the way to fix this is to actually have the motion lines relate to the motion of the arm or the motion of the wrist. Think about the joints. Motion lines should be serving to heighten motion and action, not just kind of tacked on top of the drawing. One of the reasons this sparked me was that this very much to me is the uncanny valley of cartoon and realistic styles not gelling together beautifully at all. So second problem, which Zach has talked about, so I'm not going to dwell on it too much, is faces that are clearly coming from the films based on the actors and kind of pasted onto the drawing in an unappeasing way, and lazy backgrounds with very little detail. Okay, this is where I started to get triggered. Okay, so this is Luke, and he's supposed to be horrified and stuck to this machine, but just having wide eyes isn't enough to convey the emotion of terror. There's going to be some knit to the brow, because when you raise your eyes in terror, there's it connotes pain or it connotes extreme anxiety. So this is more just like, whoa, man, Attica, and whoa, man, she's vaping. She's vaping on Luke Skywalker's force energy or life force. There are two possibilities. Possibility one is the writer didn't know what vaping was and how ridiculous this would come off for anyone who knows what vaping is. Possibility two is the writer knows what vaping is, and it's so funny and relevant. She's vaping, guys. And then Doc Afra, I guess she's abandoning him. So this is my introduction to this character. I know that she's leaving Luke to die, presumably in pain, slowly being eaten to death, and more vaping. And this is actually probably one of the more okay examples of looking way too much like the actors, because at least, like I can see some line drawing there, and it's still kind of a strange blend of a realistic painting style and a very simple line style, but I think this is where it's the least bad in my mind. Okay, now here's where I got into my cringe volcano, and this is where I started seeing $4 floating in front of my face. These two panels. Looked at that face, and looked at that face. I almost feel like staring at these panels for 10 minutes with you, like I did with this comic, but I feel like that'd be pushing a gag way too far, like this whole thing. But man, this is like a meme where you've seen the meme with Donald Trump and Pepe and Milo on the Expendables poster, and their heads are kind of tacked on there, funny. And the whole point of the meme is it's sort of goofy and it looks bad, but it's almost kind of funny and charming because it's intentionally bad. And this is just photoshopped Harrison Ford and Carrie Fisher's head on these loose, quick drawings. And the colorist, there are two possibilities again. Either the colorist has an excellent understanding of human contours and the human face and is carefully painting just that and then being lazy everywhere else, which I don't think is likely. Or the colorist is just plopping the photo reference there and kind of using the blur tool or whatever in Photoshop, a filter, a couple filters, maybe a couple little brush strokes to try to obscure the photo reference. But either way, doesn't gel. Okay, let's skip a bit. Lots of green. And this is the part where, I'm not going to show it too much, but a space rock tells Dr. Aphra, how cool and independent she is and how she is sort of jaded and cynical, and Luke is young and naive. Thanks, that's just what I needed to know. That's exactly what I needed to know about this character. Thank you, Omniscient Force Rock, for telling me how cool and awesome and badass she is. And okay, who is this? And she says, never cared for queens or solos for that matter. So why is this person insulting Han Solo, a character I care about? Because he's brainwashed? Because he's ensorcelled? I guess that's an unforgivable crime. Okay, I kid you not. So, insult Han Solo, turn the page, Luke's daring escape, cough, look out, he's tearing free of her. He took the mask off, like it's something from an... Please secure your own mask before helping children attach their own mask. This is supposed to be a death trap. His daring escape is he took it off. Someone said, look out. And flops off the bed. Oh, good. His lightsaber's right there. Try to do that with your hand. If you were maybe being tortured, maybe your hand would contort like that. You'd have to be contortionist and being tortured. Look at a hand. I know that the consequence may be that all your hands start looking like your own hand, but you can correct for that if you practice drawing the general shapes that make up hands, and then use your own hand as a quick guide so you don't have your fingers doing this or whatever. And then you can make it more slender for a lady or a bit more beefy for a man, or play a little bit with the lengths of the fingers, but at least the joints of people's fingers, those tend to be pretty consistent. Another nice photo face. And then we got some digital stuff going on. This is something I really don't like in a lot of these, is this sort of wet noodle lightsaber effect, where it's trying to imply that they're swinging the lightsaber really hard, and of course the tip of the lightsaber is moving fast than the handle of the lightsaber, but the problem is there doesn't seem to be any motion in his arm or in the handle of the lightsaber. So, like I said, it looks like a wet noodle. This is the only panel where this sort of accidentally creepy photo look actually adds a bit, because I guess she's sort of being a creepy villainess. But hey, it's time for our hero to arrive to save the day. Who's there? Who indeed? Oh look, there's a hole in the wall, and here she is. I don't know how she got in, but she's here. She is so cynical, and she's so rough and amoral, and she left poor naive Luke to die, but at the last possible second, she's come back to save the day and help out Luke. So original. Wow. Oh, and guess what? She didn't only do that. The evil lady needs a symbiote, I guess. And Doc Aphra says, yeah, about that. And evil lady says, no, what did you? And Aphra says, see, I figured out why you didn't want to put one inside Luke. And Aphra says, because in the symbiote hive mind, the strongest being sits at the top of the food chain, right? Arg! No. And I know you're pretty impressive and all, Your Highness, but guess what? No. This character just found out that her evil plans, her empire, her kingdom, queendom, is crumbling down around her. She is facing utter defeat. No. Actually, I want to recognize this comic. After Asperchew, I believe this is the greatest comic describing characters with Asperger's in existence. Its art is nearly as good as Asperchew's. Its handling of the plight of Asperger's is nearly as deep and poignant as Asperchew. True and honest. My face. Now, you thought I was done? Well, guess what? The laziness continues. Now, this one won't be as long. Okay, now this one I might be a little bit more serious about because there were actually some okay moments in this, and this might be where I get a little constructive. But the constructive point to make for this is don't be lazy on your first page. So blah, blah, blah. Look at this. It's a photo of an ocean plopped down here and the ship on top of it. So right on the first page, you have shown me laziness. And now, when I might be inclined to kind of look past lazy little things or look for good things, now I know to look for lazy stuff. All right, so Luke and Leia are on the island, and so now that my laziness detector has been activated, now I see little things like this posterized texture from a photograph where it's actually blending in okay, kind of reads as a background texture in the distance, but now I noticed it, and just a quick little blue wash for the background, okay. All right, okay, this pose. I'm not sure I'm pretty sure arms don't do that, but I could be wrong. Female gaze. So Luke and Leia, they have a decent little character moment, which is kind of what's killing me. Leia talks about her past, and they kind of make connection to their personalities, and it kind of reinforces something you already knew about Leia. She's kind of a tough tomboy princess action girl, and you probably figured she was like that when she was a little Spitfire kid too. So not bad, not a bad little moment. Okay, here's something I've noticed. When you're over-relying on the actors' faces in the movies, actors talk a lot in movies, which means that a lot of your reference material is going to involve them being mid-sentence. So what the expression that should be proper for a situation like this isn't necessarily a word that an actor might say. You might want kind of the stern expression while they're thinking, or the smile as they say something pleasant. You're looking for the key moment that relates to the tone of the text and the tone of the scene. So this kind of open lip thing keeps showing up again and again. And then I'm not going to look at every page, but there's more, kind of photo textures. Now here's where I get a little constructive. So this coral reef thing, I think the artist clearly actually drew. Now, with all the laziness, maybe there's some cheat here that I'm missing. Maybe there was some 3D model or something that was used as the inspiration for this. But to my eye, this looks like it was hand-drawn, and it looks imaginative. It doesn't look like something I'd see walking out and about. So what this demonstrates is that there is potential here for an artist who can draw to pay attention to their craft and care for their craft, and that's kind of what makes the lazy stuff sad. And colorist, who cares? Who cares if the light sources on the photo references match the light source in the panel? Who cares? It's just Star Wars. Who cares about Star Wars, guys? Come on. Who cares about Star Wars? All right, so here's another wet noodle lightsaber, and this time it's reading as kind of an axe. My first thought was Maka Albarn and Soul Eater, because I'm a weeb. And then once you know it's not a giant death scythe, then you realize it's supposed to be a lightsaber. The problem is,
This is the worst wet noodle. See, it's literally bending back. What is needed constructively that could help fix this is motion lines and an arc showing the entire motion of the lightsaber, which they used to see them constantly doing. So I don't know where this idea of kind of a bendy noodle lightsaber came from. Maybe because it's just essentially a smear tool with two little lines and then you smear it together with a white bright light, but that needs some fixing. This little character moment, I don't know. On the one hand, Leia's has sort of always been kind of a first wave feminist type of a character, a tough girl character hanging out with the boys. But I feel like this moment is a little bit petty. I'm assuming her dad died on Alderaan, unless something changed with them throwing out the old expanded universe novels and updating everything. The thing is, I don't keep up with that, so I don't know if her dad is alive or dead in this version of the character. So, but either way, it seems a little petty to kind of say, no, Dad, you know. It's not appealing to see characters directing angst at people, even if they're dead or not there, or even if they have a legitimate grievance. We want to see the positive dimension of the character. The positive dimension is Leia learned survival skills as a little princess. So she chose to leave kind of a privileged existence once in a while to gain skills that helped her feel alive and helped her feel vibrant, which is really cool. So generally a good character arc story for Luke and Leia as a team learning about each other, but just kind of a weird, petty moment in the midst of it. And then we're going to look forward to our next issue with photo reference Billy D. Williams and whatever that character was who insulted Han Solo in the last issue, and I still haven't learned her name. Love this. Here's a clearly two-dimensional being who cannot believe what he's seeing. He's never experienced a Z-axis in his life. And here, right before his eyes, is a full three-dimensional being with an X, a Y, and a Z-axis. Oh, man. Oh, man. You thought that was the end, did you? Well, me being stupid and me, I bought them all. I got caught up. They all have the same writer and the same artist. Wasted my money. The lesson is never, ever, ever assume that if they get one comic awesome, that all the other stuff vaguely related to that comic will be awesome. I'll still read these. I might roast them a bit on Twitter. It's kind of broken my spirit a little bit, but I think the constructive point for the future is care about your craft. Don't over-rely on photographic references. And I think this series generally would benefit from just a bit more cartooning. Oh, there was a little nice moment in here that I missed that I actually want to talk about as kind of a positive example. So here's Luke running, and there's some dynamic energy in that drawing. He's pushing forward away from an explosion. So it's about 1 square inch of space, but even that little 1 square inch was more exciting than the rest of the whole comic book to me. So even though this was kind of a roast, I hope that this can be interpreted as a constructive critique because I see hope. I see hope on the horizon for this artist. Maybe they weren't ready for prime time, as Zach is fond of saying, but who is this? Salvador Larroca, if you see this, man, I'm sorry. I'm kind of sorry I roasted you, but you kind of deserve it. But I have hope for you. You can do this. Edgar Delgado, whatever.